Catching Up with Kym. I apologize for the slight delay in video number 3. There just has been a lot of things going on, and I mean that in a good way. Like, so many great things have happened between this video and the last video, and I can't wait to share them with you guys as we keep further progressing with these. So thank you for being so patient with me, and thank you for the ones who have consistently tuned in and are interested in hearing my story. So thank you. Last video we left off with why I chose Indiana and like why I felt like it was a good fit for me. So now I'm gonna kind of jump into the college experience as a whole. So we'll just start with the transition from high school to college. So looking at it from a basketball standpoint and like workouts and the schedule of workouts, things like that, like that's where I'm thankful, because there wasn't really much of a difference in my preparation, and the transition within that was like fairly easy, just because the coach that I had in high school, like he prepped us, we worked day in and day out, similar to what a college team would. So I'm very thankful for that, because that was one thing that I was just terrified about. But luckily that wasn't really difficult for me. So I'm thankful. Going into the school part, that was a little different for me, I would say, just because going to college, like, you're 18 years old, you're at an age where you feel like, I'm 18, I'm an adult, I can do this, do that, and the other. Like, you just feel like you're just unstoppable. Like, you're away from your parents or guardians. Like, you're making the shots, like, on what you are going to do and what you're not going to do. And so that I kind of struggled with, just because, not for those reasons, but just for the simple fact that time management was something that was huge in being successful with balancing schoolwork and basketball. So that was my major struggle. And I would just say, like, the transition, like, it was hard for me in the beginning, just because I was doing it on my own. I was afraid to ask for help. But as I further like went along and got further into the school year, like, I was thankful, because I was surrounded by coaches who genuinely cared, and I had an academic advisor who genuinely cared as well. So they were able to help me tremendously in planning out everything that I needed to do, from the time that I wake up to the time that it's time for me to lay down at night and go to sleep. So that, I would say, was the biggest challenge for me. But like I said, I was able to overcome it and just continue to strive. And so, like, I'm just thankful, because I think that is one thing that people don't really tell you as you go from high school to college. They don't really tell you how difficult it is to transition, because, like I said, you're on your own. Like, it's just you on your own having to figure that out. So my suggestion is, and my piece of advice would be, just don't be afraid to ask for help, because there are people who you're surrounded by that would be more than happy to help you, whether it be the upperclassmen, your coaches, your academic advisor, anyone. Like, they're very helpful. Just don't be afraid to ask for the help. So we're going to transition to games, playing games, things like that. Playing games, I would say the biggest difficulty for me at the time was getting adjusted to the speed of the game, because, as you know, like, as you keep climbing up higher and higher within the levels of basketball, the speed, it changes. So going from high school, like I said, like, my coach, he prepared us well for that. Like, we were a very high-paced team, so workouts, all that came easy. But now we were at a point, like, being in college, like, not only was the game faster, you're playing with other kids who went to high school similar to yours, so their skill set is just the same, their IQ is just the same, maybe even higher if you're playing with people who are older, such as upperclassmen, things like that. It was a slight transition that was very difficult for me in the beginning. And that is where, like, I think in my career, the kind of ups and downs came, because it just got a little hard for me to not be so hard on myself and have to sit there and think like, you are just a freshman. Like, you just came from high school basketball. But I think that I set my goals so high that I didn't really put in the factor of the transition and how difficult it's going to be to get to where I saw myself competing. And so, like, to deal with that, I was in the gym before practice, after practice, just trying to do anything that I felt that I could that would help me get to a consistent level of play. Because being a freshman, coming from a high school that I came from, and being who I was coming from that high school, like, I was just hungry to just get on the floor. And so I was just trying to do anything and everything to do that, all while dealing with the transitions and being homesick and all the natural things that come with leaving your family and going to college on your own. So there were just a lot of things that I dealt with. And again, like, I was just very thankful to be surrounded by upperclassmen who came from similar backgrounds, who kind of took me under their wing, and I still talk to this day, who I consider family, who were able to let me lean on them. They kind of took me in, wrapped their arms around me, like, and just, they were my home away from home. So I was very thankful for that. As that was going on and I was really figuring out how to conquer this school and basketball thing, like, things just really started to get easier for me. Looking back from a freshman, sophomore, junior, all the way to senior year of being a collegiate athlete, like, the strides, like, that I made and the things that I've learned, like, they're very near and dear to me, because it's more than basketball. Like, it's looking at life as a whole. And so as I, like, got over that, I think that it got better as I progressed and kept going into the years. So looking from freshman, sophomore, junior year, I think that's where I really figured everything out. I think that's when I had my best season on the basketball court and in the classroom at Indiana. And I was still, like, dealing with a lot. This circles back to, as I said, when you were coming in as a freshman, you get to call the shots, you get to make decisions on your own. And I had a lot of close people leave after going into my junior year. I had a lot of close people leaving, and I was kind of on my own. I wouldn't say on my own, because of course I still had my teammates who were currently there and who stayed, but the ones that I came in with as a freshman, who took me under their wing, or who I was living with, things like that, like, they started leaving. And so that really was a challenge for me, because I had to sit there and look at myself and figure out what I was gonna do. I was kind of stuck in a situation, like, dang, like, the people that started it here with me, they're all gone, like, I'm the only one. What do I do now? And as you know, I ended up staying. So I stayed just for the simple fact that I made the decision, like, I'm a big believer in God works in mysterious ways, and I felt like he was telling me something, like, something in me just really told me to stay. Because as I sat and was thinking about all the factors, all the things that was going into it, my position, my progression from freshman to junior year, like, I really couldn't find anything. I couldn't pinpoint anything that was just like, okay, yeah, like, I'm just gonna call it quits and leave. So I ended up staying, and that felt like the right decision for myself, and I made it for myself, and I'm very thankful that I did. Even though I did it by myself, I was the only one left. I stayed, and the reason why I think that was the best option for me is because here I am today. I'm getting to pursue my career, even though my collegiate career has been long gone for almost 3 years now. And so like, I think that was my purpose, because I had a breakout season my junior year, and I think that was what God was trying to show me. And it's crazy, like that year alone like was what kind of jump started everything to get to where I am now. And so like, I'm very thankful for that. So just looking back at the process of how I got here, because I didn't get drafted by the WNBA. So I'll start with, first off, just getting an agent. That was the first thing. And not knowing how to go about that, I reached out to my resources. So I reached out to my coach, and he knew somebody that knew somebody. And I was able to get connected with that, connected that way. And I would say that is the biggest thing, like the most important thing in college, is making connections, because you never know within the future when you're going to need those connections or things like that. So it's really good to just get in good with your professors, get in good with your classmates, everyone, because there's always somebody that knows somebody. And so I'm very thankful that one of my coaches was able to get me in contact with an agent who was able to start my professional career and get the whole process going, because that was something that I just like, I had tunnel vision for at the time, and something that that was just very important to me. So yeah. So I got in contact with my agent, and he was able to load up some film from my time in Indiana. And the way that process works, it's kind of like AAU, where college coaches they come and see you, but then they also see you on films and things like that. So in this instance, my film, my highlights from the previous year and my senior year were all sent to teams in other countries, and they were put on my agent's website, the agency that I signed with, and then the countries or coaches or teams who were interested, they will contact my agent, and then that is how I get picked up. So they'll contact them if they like the style of play that I bring to the table or the type of player that I am. They'll contact him, and then they'll send him a contract. He'll send me the contract. We'll look at it. If everything looks good and well, we sign it, and then there it is. And so that is what led me to sign with my first team in Czech Republic, Zabini Brno. That is all the time that we have today. So we will catch up next video on my experience in Czech, all my emotions leading up to my departure for Czech, everything that I was dealing with, and all that good stuff. So yeah, so thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Bye.